This is Scenic Roots. I'm Ray Bassett. Thanks for joining us. A taste of Juneteenth arrives this weekend in Southside Chattanooga, a few days before next week's holiday. The Bethlehem Center, the faith-based nonprofit serving youth and families in the Alton Park neighborhood, hosts its annual Southside Juneteenth Jubilee on Saturday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 200 West 38th Street. Young storytellers at the Jubilee will share the history of Juneteenth, which commemorates the emancipation of African Americans and the end of slavery after the Civil War. Reginald Smith II is the center's executive director.
Reggie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us more about the Southside Jubilee this Saturday.
The Bethlehem Center Southside Jubilee is our 5th year producing an event that really is all about getting family and friends and community together to celebrate Juneteenth. So this year we have a really amazing lineup. This year we still have a host of community organizations that are going to come out and provide information about what's going on around the great city of Chattanooga. We also still have a huge abundance of vendors this year who are going to be out there selling their various different items and wares. One of the beautiful parts of this event is always the food. So we're going to have some significant food trucks. We're going to have some community members who are making various different items to sell food wise. And so it's really just an opportunity to celebrate Juneteenth around family and friends while eating and having a good time doing it.
How has this changed over the years?
Every year we try to add something new to the event. This year, we are blessed to have some really significant sponsors, CHI Memorial Foundation, Blue Cross Blue Shield, TVFCU, as well as some local churches. What's beautiful about the sponsors this year is they provided funding to allow us to give the community some little Beth bucks that they can actually use to purchase items. So it's no longer, hey, come out and spend your money, but also we allow the money that has been given to the community to go back and be recirculated in the community to really truly have a significant economic impact. They've supported the Bethlehem Center, who in turn that over to the community at large, who in turn reinvest those funds into community businesses. And so I think this is a really good opportunity to utilize Juneteenth as an opportunity to kind of promote a little bit of economic prosperity amongst the community.
And talk more about the work these days of the Bethlehem Center.
The Bethlehem Center has been around for about 105 years, supporting the community through education, leadership, and spiritual development. The beautiful part of the work that we do is that we do that in a come as you are type of a mentality. And we look at making sure that we can support the community through our Read to Lead Academy. So on the academic side for our young children, we support them through a wonderful after school program. Naturally, it's summertime right now, so my building is filled with beautiful faces experiencing a wonderful after school program. But we recognize we're not going to be successful working with children if we're also not supporting the adults. So we have a very robust resource access department. If people come in and say, I'm housing insecure or food insecure, we have a food pantry to support them. We have case managers on site who work with them directly to address whatever issues they are facing. We have a wonderful farm on site as well. The farm that we have has been growing some really significant quantities of food that we give directly to the community. So if you want fresh cantaloupe, if you want fresh strawberries, or even everything down from green beans to corn to tomatoes, we are definitely experimenting with some cool things and teaching children during the process.
How have you been thinking about Juneteenth as we near this Jubilee and then the holiday next week? And what have you heard from others in the community?
We started this Juneteenth event in 2021, same year that it actually became a national holiday. And I know growing up as a young man in Memphis, it was always something that was instilled in me as well as something celebrated by my family. And so for the Bethlehem Center, we've been thinking along the lines of how do we make this more of an educational point to teach people about Juneteenth. So we're blessed this year as part of another offering that we're offering is that we have young people telling the history, telling the story, not in a, oh, here's the dark days of America's past, but more of a, hey, here's something to be celebrated. This is what happened. We celebrate this event because Union soldiers walked into Galveston, Texas and announced the Emancipation Proclamation. We also are going into deeper opportunities to explain little nuancy things that are prevalent within the African American or Black culture that people never really thought about. We're blessed to have a sponsor this year who's providing hibiscus tea. Most people don't know the history of hibiscus tea and the African American experience. And so we're able to provide it to the community while also teaching the historical roots of that.
Give us a little sampling of that lesson.
So historically, hibiscus is found in West Africa. Enslaved Africans brought that to the shores of America. So in the Caribbean and in West Africa, it goes by a different name, but that is the root of something that people typically see or would say was a stereotype in the African American community. If you ask certain people what their favorite Kool-Aid Kool-Aid color would be. They would say, oh, I like red Kool-Aid, right? Well, why is that? Well, historically, African Americans in this country grew up drinking hibiscus tea. And so we have young people who are going to explain that to the community on Saturday. And this is really, really good to really talk about. Sometimes stereotypes are rooted in little pieces of nuggets of history that may have been turned into something negative over the years, but actually started out as something really beautiful. But unless we keep that history alive, unless we tell people what the truth of the matter is, how would they know? And so by us being able to teach young people and to have our young people out there teaching the history of Juneteenth, teaching the history of the Juneteenth flag. Where did the flag come from? Why did the flag exist? Why are the colors of the Juneteenth flag red, white, and blue? Well, we're Americans too. Right? So having children do that, opposed to having me up there saying, well, this is how things should be, is a really good pivotal moment because nobody expects the children to be teaching the adults. And so a little bit of things that we like to do at the Bethlehem Center.
And for people who want to check out the Southside Jubilee this Saturday at the Bethlehem Center and everything happening at the center year round, where can they go online?
You can go to thebeth.org to learn about everything that is taking place at the Bethlehem Center, whether it is our resource access programming or our Read to Lead Academy, many of the things that we're doing around food and security, thebeth.org. And specifically about the Juneteenth event, thebeth.org/Juneteenth Jubilee.
All right, Reggie, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
A century ago, during the Jim Crow era, baseball was segregated. African Americans, barred from Major League Baseball, played on teams in the Negro Leagues, including here in Chattanooga. This Friday and Saturday, the Bessie Smith Cultural Center and the Chattanooga Lookouts host this year's Negro League Appreciation Weekend in partnership with Food City as the Lookouts play the Biloxi Shuckers at AT&T Field. Elijah Cameron is with the Bessie.
We bring in some of those old players that played in the Negro League in conjunction with the Chattanooga Lookouts. We bring them here. They get a chance to be honored on the field during the baseball games Friday night and Saturday night. Now, Friday night, that's the fireworks night. So we encourage people to come out, bring the kids. Friday night and Saturday, we do giveaways, and we have all of that going on. But of course, the Negro League baseball players will be represented. The Chattanooga Lookouts will be wearing the Chattanooga Choo Choo jersey, and of course, we'll be playing the Biloxi Shuckers. They'll be wearing the jersey of those Negro League players. And we just have a grand time. Now that Saturday, we have a brunch for the Negro League baseball players down at the Bessie Smith Cultural Center. That brunch is $10. You get to meet the players. They talk to you about their days playing and things of that nature. So we always look forward to that kind of thing.
More at the Bessie Smith Cultural Center's website, bessiesmithcc.org, and on social media. Katherine Dunham was known as the matriarch and queen of black dance. She was a dancer and choreographer, also an anthropologist and an activist. This Saturday, the Katherine Dunham Juba Dance Festival returns to Chattanooga, part of the Chattanooga Festivals of Black Arts and Ideas. It begins with dance masterclasses at Annex Chattanooga Ballet from 9:15 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and then at 7 p.m., the Juba Dance Ensemble performance will be held at the University Center here on our campus, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Crystal Newson is director of the Dunham Festival and artistic director of the Juba Dance Ensemble.
Crystal, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the festival.
This is my third year being the artistic director of the Juba Dance Festival. Normally, we honor Katherine Dunham by just having this big black dance celebration, but this year, I really wanted to create work around Katherine Dunham, being inspired by her work, her philosophies, and her teachings. And so this year we have 37 dancers that are going to be a part of the dance festival. They will be performing June the 14th at 7 p.m. At the Chattanooga Christian School.
Talk more about Katherine Dunham's story and how that informs what people will see.
Being Katherine Dunham, having the first black dance company, it is truly amazing to also have the first black dance company in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She took her learning from the Caribbean dance and West African, and she blended them together and created this beautiful technique called the Dunham technique. So with that, we're taking the Dunham technique and placing it into all of the works that we have created. So this year I decided to base the show off of Echo because Katherine Dunham works echoes through us all.
Talk more about some of her influences and some of the people that she's influenced whose names we might also recognize.
You might know Alvin Ailey. Katherine Dunham definitely had a true mark on Alvin Ailey in his work as well. So with Katherine Dunham, her beauty in who she was, but also finding that beauty in other people. So it wasn't just about dance for her. It was about how you showed up and how you can deliver your gift to the world. And so with that, the work that we're producing with all the different choreographers that we have and all the different dancers that we have, we want to show the beauty in who they are and not just dance.
You've led this festival for a few years now. What have you learned? What's changed over the years?
I've learned that it's very challenging, but yet so incredible. And I've learned that these dancers, they're needing this and they're wanting this. They get in the room and they don't know that this is something that is so rare. And so when we're in these classes and I'm able to direct and lead with them and the choreographers that they're working with, they call it the Juba experience because you're not going to find it anywhere else. And so I would love for this to continue to be a thing that we do every year throughout the year and dive deeper into the community so that everyone gets to experience the Juba experience.
Let's dive deep for a moment into the meaning of the word Juba.
Juba is the clapping of the hands and the feet. And so at one point, they took the instruments and all the musical sounds away because they said that, we were communicating through the instruments. And so after that had been taken away, the patting of the hands and the feet became broader in the African-American history. So you will see a lot of that throughout the show, clapping of the hands and the feet, especially at the opening. And it's beautiful.
There's something that happens at the beginning of the festival.
The start of the morning, starting at 9:15 at Annex Chattanooga Ballet, we will be having classes. So it starts off with contemporary, we will go into jazz, and then we will finish off the workshop in hip hop at 1:30. And it's going to be a great experience. We have Maya Lightfoot with contemporary, then we have William Harris III for jazz, and then we have Shamir Devon for hip hop.
And then those are the workshops.
Yes.
And all of that leads up to the performance.
Correct. So you get to have a full morning of dancing and being a part of this dance community in Chattanooga. It is open to anybody 13 and up. It is intermediate and advanced skilled. And then at the end of the day, you get to come join us and celebrate and root for the Juba Dance Ensemble.
All right, Crystal, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
For more, visit the Chattanooga Festivals of Black Arts and Ideas online at Eventbrite, at blackartsandideasfest.com, and on social media. A gathering in tech here in the Southeast is expanding to 3 days for its 10th year. The Scenic City Summit returns to downtown Chattanooga from Thursday, June 19th through Saturday, June 21st at various locations. This year's summit links up 8 local tech conferences to offer workshops, talks, and a community hackathon for engineers, educators, students, and leaders in tech. Among the sponsors, the Chattanooga Technology Council, or CHATEC, and our campus, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Brandon Schwartz is committee chair for the Scenic City Summit.
Brandon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about the Scenic City Summit. You were present at the creation.
There was an event called DevLink that predated Scenic City Summit. It started in Nashville and came to Chattanooga when the creator of the event moved here to take a job. When he moved back to Nashville to take a different job, he left the event here. And in 2014, they had their final conference. When I found out that they didn't plan to continue it in 2015, I said, well, there's a place on the map and on the calendar for a technology conference, a community event in Chattanooga, and looked around for the people who were going to replace it, figured out that there were a few of us who were interested, and we were the people replacing it. Didn't want to start a nonprofit myself. My wife had been the executive director of a local nonprofit, and she said, that's the easiest way to drive yourself crazy. Find an existing organization where the mission lines up with what you want to do, because everyone thinks they have a new idea, and usually there's already an org that has that as part of their mission. I spoke to the executive director of Chatec in 2015. They were on board. They said, this sounds like a great idea. Summer of 2016, we went to UTC's Engineering, Math, and Computer Science building, and we had our first event.
How has this changed over the years? A lot has happened in less than a decade.
We've been at a couple of different locations. We've gone to the convention center. We've been back to UTC at the University Center. We were online in 2020 and 21 with the pandemic and everything going virtual. A lot of events in the region sort of canceled. We found ways to continue, albeit a little bit differently. We were happy to get back to in-person in 2022. And our first year, we had a little over 100 people. At our peak, we've had close to 450. The topics of the day have changed. There have been some new kind of buzzwords, things that people are excited to talk about. We, this year, have added a couple of additional days. We've got pre-conference workshops on Thursday, and on the Saturday, we're going to have a hackathon. But really, the constant theme has been about bringing the tech community together to network and get people who are excited about what they do to sort of learn from each other and cross-pollinate.
And top of mind at the summit this year, AI.
Generative AI, large language models. We have some workshops focused on that. A number of our sessions are going to be AI-centric. Usually there is a strong emerging technology focus for a lot of the sessions that we have, and this year is no different. In the past, it's been virtual reality, augmented reality, and this year it's very much AI.
This year's summit will take place at UTC on the first day, at the Chattanooga Convention Center on the second day, and on the third day at the Edney, which brings us to what you mentioned earlier, the hackathon.
A hackathon for people who have never participated in one. I know the word hack usually makes you think about my computer's been hacked, kind of criminal activity. It's not that kind of hackathon. There are a number of challenges or kind of problems or opportunities that people put forth to be addressed. Can we solve this problem with software? Can we stand up a minimum viable product or a proof of concept or very small working something that addresses the need? Generally, you have a number of challenges, you break up into different teams, and it's an opportunity for people to do the entire life cycle of building an application or a technical solution, from kind of whiteboarding and sketching out the layout of the application all the way to having a working, functional thing to present at the end.
For people who want to check out the Scenic City Summit here in Chattanooga, where can they go online?
The website is sceniccitysummit.com, all one word. Also, Chatec, the Chattanooga Technology Council, has a lot of information on their website. And we've got the schedule, we've got information up there about how to register and anything people want to know.
All right, Brandon, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Matchmaking, the Sinai Desert, and The Man Who Found the Beatles all have their moments on screen in this year's Chattanooga Jewish Film Series. The series screens in person on Sundays at 4 p.m. from June 22nd through July 20th at the Jewish Cultural Center, paired with virtual screenings. Ann Treadwell is with the Jewish Federation of Greater Chattanooga.
Ann, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Ray, and great to talk about the 18th annual Chattanooga Jewish Film Series.
This series showcases films about the Jewish experience from all over the world.
Definitely from all over the world. In fact, this year, even there's one from Great Britain, the United Kingdom, which is the last film, which is kind of a surprise.
Let's start with Matchmaking 2, which screens in person on Sunday, June 22nd, and is virtual from June 22nd through June 27th.
Well, Matchmaking's kind of interesting. It is a follow-up film from one that we showed last year. In the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, people tend to marry very young, not like the norm that we're accustomed to. Well, this is a story about a young man who is older, all of 28 years old, has not married yet, and everything he goes through with a matchmaker.
And then we have The Stronghold in person on Sunday, June 29th, and virtual from June 29th through July 4th.
So this one is a war movie. It's a little more difficult. It is in Hebrew with English subtitles. It is about a group of soldiers stuck in the Sinai Peninsula For those of you who are not sure about geography, that's Egypt now, in the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and the things that they go through and the moral decisions that they have to make, which is kind of timely with what's going on now.
And then we stay in the Sinai for the next film, No Name Cafe, in person Sunday, July 6th, virtual from July 6th through July 11th.
So this one's, again, just like matchmaking, is much more fun. It is about a Bedouin, and if you don't know about the Bedouins in that part of the world, they are people who are nomads with an ultra-Orthodox Jewish person who has to make certain commitments by a certain time. I don't want to give too much away, but let me tell you, you will not expect all the things that happen and how it ends.
And then we have The Property, in person, Sunday, July 13th, virtual from July 13th through July 18th.
So this is an interesting one. It is a post-Holocaust film, and you'll notice none of the films this year are Holocaust-based. We wanted to bring this film because it talks about what goes on after the Holocaust in Poland, about people getting their property back. It is also, not to give too much away, a love story.
And then rounding out the series, we have Midas Man, screening in person Sunday, July 20th, virtual from July 20th through July 25th.
Most people know about the Beatles. Most people know that they were from Liverpool, but most people don't know about the person who found the Beatles and brought them to fame. His name is Brian Epstein, and it is the story of how the Beatles came to be. And it also, although it has its very sad moments, it is fun and great history.
All of this taking place at the Chattanooga Jewish Film Series, screening in person and virtually.
And in-person screenings happen at the Jewish Cultural Center, which is 5461 North Terrace Road. There is a significant student discount with your ID. So, that's something to keep in mind also. All in-person films have free popcorn and a drink. They all start at 4 p.m. on Sundays, so depending on what your Sunday schedule is, you won't miss any sunshine or any services. You can still come to the movies after. If you pay for a film, you can also view it in person if for some reason you want to see the film and can't get out that day. For more information, you can give us a call at 493-0270, or you can actually now purchase tickets on the website, jewishchattanooga.com.
All right, Ann, thanks so much.
Great to be here, Ray. Thank you.
Let's talk about Richard Wenham.
What Richard Wenham means to me began 6 years ago. I was living in New York, and there was this job posting here at WUTC in Chattanooga. When I dialed up the station online, there was Richard's voice. As he does, Richard shared local music, and music of many genres. In between songs, he peppered the breaks and the conversations with his insights and his knowledge. It's fair to say, without Richard, I would not have applied at WUTC, and I would not be here today. After I moved to Chattanooga, Richard was so welcoming, as he is for so many, on air and off air. Wherever I go in this community and there's music, I hear again and again about how Richard brought that music to WUTC for all of us. Thank you, Richard Wenham. We'll see you at Barrel House Ballroom on Sunday, June 22nd, starting at 1 p.m. Details online at WUTC.org. I'm Ray Bassett. Thanks for listening to Scenic Roots. We come to you from the studios of WUTC at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Email us at scenicroots423@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at scenicroots423. Listen to us online anytime at WUTC.org and the WUTC app. Join us again next time for Scenic Roots.